Everyone, welcome back to the She Shed. My name is Melissa and today we are going to be making our griddle stitch poncho and we're going to be using this gorgeous yarn. This is called Reborn from Lemire. I got it at Hobium. It is a wool blend yarn. It is what have we got? We've got 40% wool, 40% polyester and 20% acrylic. Has a beautiful feel and it works up beautifully. It says here that you need a 5.5mm hook. I generally go up a size with most of my yarns and I will be using a 6.5. You will roughly need about 6 balls of this yarn for your poncho. We are going to be working up this poncho in 2 rectangles and the rectangles will be 132 centimeters long and 53 centimeters wide. So depending on your tension, depends on how many stitches you will be using, but feel free to follow along with me and do exactly what I'm doing. My ponchos I treat as free size. Obviously if you're doing it for a child you'll make it much smaller, and if you're doing it for an adult, a very 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 large adult, then do it bigger. But mine is an average size, anywhere from a size 10 Australian to a size 18 Australian. It will fit really nicely. Okay, so what we will be needing are a 6.5mm hook. This is my Furls 6.5. Love Furls. And I always go up a size when I'm doing my chain, so I will be doing my chain with my 8. I don't have a 7.5, so this is my 8mm hook from Furls. And then you will be needing your tape measure, scissors, yarn needle, and if you would like stitch markers. I use my stitch markers to help me with counting so I don't have to keep counting all the time. Alrighty, let's get this project started. Once you have got your end, do a slip knot, grab your larger hook, so the size up. As I said, I don't have a 7.5, so I'm using my 8. And we will be chaining 60 stitches. So chain 60, 1, 2, 3. That you have your 61 stitches, change your hook. Now it is really important that you have an odd number of stitches, so if you are changing this pattern up at all, make sure that your chain is an odd number. So we need to chain 1. And we will be working in the back of the stitch. So the front of the stitch is the V that you can see there, and the back of the stitch has the lump on the back. We will be doing our stitches into the lump on the back. The reason why we do this is because it makes a very nice neat edge on the side here if you do that way. So we will be starting off with griddle stitch. The whole panels are worked in griddle stitch. So you always miss your first stitch there that you just chain that one. We'll go into the next stitch and go straight in with your hook. Grab your yarn and pull it through. Grab your yarn and pull through the 2 on the hook. The next stitch will be a double crochet. So yarn over, go into the back of the loop there, so the back of the stitch. Grab your yarn, pull it through. Then grab your yarn and pull through the first 2 on the hook, and grab your yarn and pull through the second 2 on the hook, and that's a double crochet. The next one is a single crochet, so go into the back of the stitch there, into that loop, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn, pull through the 2 on the hook, yarn over into that next stitch there, the back of the stitch there with that loop, go into the loop, grab your yarn, pull it through. Grab your yarn, pull through the 2 on the hook, grab your yarn, pull through the remaining 2. So you'll see it's a single crochet followed by a double crochet. So a single crochet followed by a double crochet, and you repeat this the entire time on every single row. And trust me, you do get into the pattern of it, and you will get to the stage where you just automatically will do your single crochet followed by your double crochet, and that is what creates your griddle stitch. So I'm going to leave you to finish this row of your single crochet followed by your double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, all the way along to the end, and you should finish with your single crochet at the end, and I'll meet you there. At the end of that row you should be finishing with a single crochet, and then chain one, turn your work, and you will start every row with a single crochet and end every row with a single crochet. So single crochet the first stitch, and then double crochet the second stitch, single crochet, double crochet. And this is what you're going to be doing throughout the whole of this panel and your second panel. So it is completely griddle stitch, nothing else but griddle stitch. So your single crochet, your double crochet. Now if you put it down halfway through, get some yarn, if you put it down for some reason and you're like, oh, what did I get to? I hope you can see here, but it's quite easy to see what's a single crochet stitch. So you're basically doing single crochet on top of single crochet and double crochet on top of double crochet. So this is a single crochet, and can you see there, it just looks like a V. So single crochet. The next one is a double crochet, and it looks like it's got a little cap on it. Can you see? It looks like a normal stitch there. Hope you can see that. So that's a double crochet, and when you look next to it there's a single crochet. The single crochet doesn't have the cap, it just looks like a V, and the double crochet has the cap there. So hopefully you saw that, and hopefully you'll know, if you ever put it down and come back to it, you'll know where you're at. Otherwise, the only other tip I have is just to undo your previous stitch and see that what you did. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to finish off your rectangles. So you need to do 2 of these rectangles in exactly the same way. And how many rows you will be doing? So this is 85 rows of griddle stitch. So you count your rows, 1, 2, and all the way up. Now what the little trick that I do is use my stitch markers. So I count to 10, put a stitch marker in, so on and so forth, until I have my 8 stitch markers, which tells me I've got 80 rows, and then do an extra 5, and there's my 85. So you need to do 2 panels, 61 stitches, 85 rows of griddle stitch. When you have your 2 panels, come back here and we'll work on how we sew it together. So we have now finished our 2 panels of griddle stitch. So remembering that it is each panel is 61 stitches wide, 85 rows long. This is panel number 1, and this is panel number 2. Now it's really hard to fit them into the camera. So this is the long edge, so my 85 rows that way. And on this panel, this is my short edge, my 61 stitches with my 85 going that way. So I have a diagram which will be in the corner here, and it will show you how you need to sew them up. So you need to put first sew up, which it will be along here, is your long edge and your short edge here. So short edge next to the long edge. So if you find where your leader is that you finished off the either of the panels with, make sure your leader is at where you're going to sew here. So look at the diagram and see that it shows you that you sew up these first. So let's do that first, and then we'll go back to the diagram and see what you need to do next. So I do have here my long edge and my short edge lined up together. So you'll have to trust me because I haven't got it, I can't fit it into the camera, but this is my short edge, this is my long edge. I've got them together like so. And put your tail onto your yarn needle. And all I do, I'm not an excellent sewer, I just go over like so. Just a note, before you start sewing, make sure you've got the sides that you want to be on the inside facing out. Now, how do you know that? Well, anywhere where I have my tails that I need to sew in, where I've started all the balls of yarn, so I will need to sew them in. That I do on the inside. So I always make sure my tails are all on the same side, and that becomes the inside of my garment. I also will put a stitch marker to show that that is going to be the inside of my garment. So I put them facing out while I'm sewing because I want my seam to go on the inside, and then once I've done that, I turn it inside out, and there we are, we've got the inside. So continue going down your edge here, and all you're doing is just a very simple stitch where you just go over. All you're doing all the way along until you've got to the very end. You are not forcing it, you are not stretching it, you're just laying it on top of each other and just sewing the two together. So continue that. It is going on the inside, so you don't have to be OCD about it. Unless you are OCD, then go for it. And just sew along, and I will meet you at the end when you have done that. You've come to the end. There's my other tail. All you need to do is just sew back on yourself, and that's how I sew my tail in. So yes, I do have to sew in all the other tails. And once you've done what you think is enough, just cut that off. And now let's go back to the diagram and show you what needs to be done now. Okay, so looking back at the diagram, you'll see that now we need to bring the other short edge, which is actually this edge, down onto the other long edge. So it's really difficult to show you, but that's where we're just sewn up. That's my long edge, and there's its short edge. And there's my long edge, which I've got nothing attached to that one. And I'm going to bring this short edge to the long edge. So have a little look at the diagram here, and it will show you with the arrow where it needs to go. So hopefully you can follow that, because this is really hard to show you when I don't have a big enough area. So we've got those two edges lined up, and once again make sure you're working on what will eventually be the inside, which was where you're going to have all your tails, or where you had your stitch marker marking it to say where it is. Hopefully your other tail that you left is up that corner. If it isn't, you're going to have to attach your yarn so you can sew up your edge. So here's my long edge, there's my short edge. So this is the long edge that has nothing to it, which you're lining up to your short edge of your other side, and then you're just repeating. So once again, follow that diagram in the corner, and that'll show you what you need to do. I do have other videos of different styles of this style of poncho. I'll leave the links below, and hopefully that explains it a little bit better. Alright, and then just start and do that sewing all over again along this edge. We are at the end again, so let's just sew the end in. And I'm going to sew in all the ends and then put this on a mannequin and show you what it looks like and then tell you what we do next. And there she is sewn up. However, she's not quite finished yet. So we need to do a collar here. You can see it looks a bit loose there. So let's do a very simple collar there. And then the edging here, we'll do a matching edge around the bottom as well. But so far, I think she's looking lovely, and that griddle stitch pattern just is so pretty. So let's get those edges done, those hems and that collar done. Very simple stitch, so let's do that now. So doing the neck here, and I always start near where I've sewn up, so the V there. And so just put your hook in close to where the V is. Start your yarn however you start your yarn. And you do need to make sure that your garment is facing out, as in this is the correct side. Alright, so you've attached your yarn, chain 1. And then you are going to be doing single crochets all the way around the edge. So the easiest way to do this is to just make it even as you go around and try and do it at the top of every row. So the rows are quite easy to see. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. But if you can't get it into the top of the rows, you're losing yourself. Just try and make sure your stitches are even all the way around. So the first one I'm going to do is right near that V. So it's just hook in, grab your yarn, pull it through, grab your yarn and pull through the 2 loops on the hook, and that is your single crochet. So I'm just going to make my way around and try and get it as even as possible, and you should get into the rhythm of just seeing the pattern of where the rows are and work your way around. So when you've got yourself your first row and you've come back to where you've started, so you come back over here, I will meet you back here and show you what to do next. So we've come back to the beginning of the row, and all we need to do is just go straight into the beginning of that row and keep doing your half double crochet. Now if you think you're going to get lost here and you're not sure where the row ends or finishes, just grab yourself a stitch marker and just put it there so you know where the end of the row is. And I'd also make this as the back of your garment as well. So that is just continuing your single crochets in the round. So there's my first stitch, and then I'm single crochets, Melissa, straight into there. And feel free to work your leader in. So see how I'm going over my leader as well as going into the stitches, and then you don't have to sew that in later. So keep doing your half double crochets it's big all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of this row. And we are back at the beginning. So, and that's it. That's the 2 rows that we're going to do for the collar. And just snip off the end. And what I generally do is get my last stitch, go into there, grab my yarn through, pull it through, and then just pull, and then I just sew in my end. Okay, so I'm going to leave the stitch marker there for now, because what I want to do now is do the bottom, the edging around the bottom. So I want it to start at the back. So remember when I said that this is now going to be the back? where I've started my collar. So what I need to do is then turn my work upside down. Once again, we're still doing this so that this is the outside of the garment, and I want to start near the point. So once again, go a little bit away from the point, stick your hook in, start your yarn however you start your yarn, chain one, and then we're going to repeat exactly the same thing, putting a stitch at the top of every row. Now when you get to the edge here, you're going to see that you've already got the last row that you did of the garment. So that's going to be really easy because you put a stitch on top of every one of the previous stitches. So to start off with, we're going to go and do a single crochet in the top of every row. Now when we come to the corner, we are going to do a single crochet, chain one, go back into the same stitch and do a single crochet. That will just make that point much nicer. And then we just do single crochet all the way around. And continue doing that, and when you get to your other point, repeat that step again where you go single crochet, chain one, single crochet in that other point. When you have finished that row, I will meet you back here and show you what we do next. So I've got to the other point again. I thought I'd run that through that with you again. So do your single crochet, chain one, go back into that same stitch, do your single crochet, and then continue on with your single crochets all the way around until you get back to the beginning. Now I've come to the end of the row, and now we're just going to do exactly the same as what we did for the collar, and we are going straight into that first stitch, and we're doing a single crochet, and then we just continue our single crochets as we go around. And grab your stitch marker again and put it in that first stitch so you remember where it was that you started that row. Continue your single crochets, and then when you get to that corner, you're going to repeat the same thing. So there's my 2 stitches in the corner. Do 1 single crochet, chain 1, back into that stitch, do another single crochet, and then continue with your single crochets all the way around. So remember to repeat that step at that other corner, and I will meet you back here when you're finished and show you how we finish up. Alright, so we're back to the beginning again, and that is our hem done. So let's just do half double crochet halfway there. Let's snip off the end and then just finish it off and pull it through. Now let's remove that stitch marker and sew in any loose ends that you have, and then we'll get this on the mannequin and show you what it looks like. Unfortunately, I lost the footage to sign off. Here is a photo of the finished poncho, and I'm really happy with the outcome. I hope to see you again at one of my other tutorials. Please like, subscribe and share and all that good stuff, and I will see you again here sometime very soon. Take care everyone. Bye everyone.